Peace and richest blessings to you. As you know, I am Michael Bernard Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center. It is my joy to partner with humanity's team in bringing forth teachings and practices that we know will not only uplift you and inspire you, but allow you to participate in your own unfolding, expanding your own awareness so that you can always be more and never less than your true self. And one of the things that this particular module is bringing to us is our pre-incarnational choice. Now, this presupposes, of course, that we existed before this incarnation, that oftentimes people identify themselves primarily as the son and daughter of their parents, where they were born geographically, what schools they went to, the life experiences they had. That develops personality constructs, sub-personality constructs, which produces perceptions and thought forms that then produce more experience. But we have to go back a little bit. We have to come to an understanding that, as I've discovered over the years through insight and revelation, spiritual practice, and teaching for over 40 years, that we existed before this incarnation, that we made pre-incarnational choices, that where we are at this particular time in human history and why we are at this time in human history was a choice. We did not come here accidentally. The universe does not operate accidentally. It is a progressive expression of the universal presence that reveals itself as a multidimensional universe, reveals itself as living biology, solar systems, galaxies, etc. In other words, you as a distinct unit of consciousness, of awareness, before you came here, you chose to be here. And a part of awakening is to take responsibility for our choice, to take responsibility for being here rather than creating excuses as to, oh, I wish I had never been born. Why did my parents have me? I wish I wasn't born to these parents. I wish I wasn't born in this time and space. I wish I wasn't born in this country. I wish I wasn't born in these conditions. Those become excuses that keep us from taking total responsibility for our life. And thus, if we do not take total responsibility, we relegate ourselves to being a victim of circumstance, a victim of situations, a victim of other people's opinions of us, a victim of our own opinions of ourselves that may be less than admirable. And so you made a pre-incarnational choice. You said you wanted to have an incarnation. You wanted to be born at this time in human history. You wanted to be born to the parents that you had biologically, even though you may have been parented by other people as well. You wanted to be born with the challenges that humanity is now facing. All of this was a part of your choice. And when you can embrace that, then you can begin to discern the why you chose to be here. You can discern why you chose your parents. You can discern the gifts that you have received or still receiving because you chose them. You can discern what you promised that you would bring here during your duration as this particular expression of a spiritual being having a human incarnation. You would begin to remember, at least on a feeling level, what you did promise. And then you can begin to ask yourself, how are you doing? You can begin to inwardly grade yourself as to, are you coming back to a responsibility? Are you coming back to a soul remembrance? And you can begin to grade yourself along these lines. Now, as I've indicated, once you begin to embrace this particular way of thinking, excuse making goes out of the window. You're no longer making excuses. You're no longer being tremendously upset at the condition you were born into. You set it all up for yourself as a school, an incarnational school to activate your gifts, talents, and capacities. And so you begin to think to yourself, what gift or gifts did I promise myself? Not just promising the presence of God or humanity or your ancestors. What gifts did I promise myself? What vow did I take for myself? Gifts that I would deliver before I leave this incarnation. And as you begin to ask those kind of questions, and we begin to go into a kind of meditative response around those kind of questions, a spiritual faculty will open up in you. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes we are fooled into thinking that we see because we have eyes, or that we hear because we have ears. It's actually the opposite. You have eyes because you see, and you have ears because you hear. What do I mean by that? Form always follows consciousness, meaning consciousness precedes form. You had the ability to see the invisible. You had the ability, and you still do, the ability to hear the inaudible. That faculty produced the ears and produced the eyes in this incarnation. So when you begin to ask this kind of question, in terms of why you chose to be here, etc., the ones that I just spoke to you about, you begin to activate the faculty of right seeing and right hearing that's beyond the ears and that's beyond the eyes. You catch discernment. You catch intuition. You catch directed knowing. And you begin to remember, reconnect with the choice you made. And what does that do for you? It allows you to be more empowered. You can begin to feel a deep sense of empowerment when you actually begin to read the playbook. When you actually begin to remember you're not accidental, that you came here on purpose. When you begin to live from that dynamic and that frequency, there's a sense of empowerment, there's a sense of courage, there's a sense of strength, there's a sense of spiritual vitality that begins to move through your body, your subtle bodies, your mind, your emotional body, and you begin to live on this planet in a very triumphant manner. Does not mean there aren't issues you're going to have to face individually and issues that we have to face as humanity. It's obvious that we have big issues to face here as sentient beings, as spiritual beings having human incarnation. That's obvious. But how we approach those issues from a sense of triumph, a sense of gift giving, a sense of courage, a sense of I have a right and a reason to be here, a sense of I chose to be here. Imagine, you're entering into some deep level of study. Perhaps you've entered into college, you've entered into some advanced training of some kind. Whether it's advanced training at a university or whether it's advanced training physically in martial arts or qigong or yoga or some type of advanced training, there's always a moment in that training where you come to a state of exhaustion, or like a state of, there's a challenge to go from one paradigm to the next in your learning. And somewhere along the line, the mind will say, why did I do this to myself? I was cool being a couch potato. Why did I put myself through this strain, you see? But you chose to be there because you knew the gifts were going to come. If you just kept on with that particular development of that particular skill, whether it was playing the piano, learning to sing, martial arts, going through an academy of some kind, well, in that same sense, you have incarnated on planet Earth as a spiritual being. There are challenges that we are facing. There are issues that are up. And somewhere you might be saying, oh, why did I choose to be here? Why did I choose it? Why did I choose it? You did choose it, and now you're going to go to the next paradigm. You're going to come out of the limited way of thinking. Expand your awareness, as we'll talk about in future modules. And anchor your giftedness and the activation of the vow that you took for yourself, to yourself, as to the reason why you came here. There aren't any accidental people. There aren't any extra people. The presence that's never an absence doesn't do extra people, regardless of what human beings may think from time to time. That is a lie. There aren't any extra spirits, any extra people. Everyone has a reason and a right to be here. Everyone has a mission. Everyone has a different mission according to their unique pattern. And so, with that as the beginning of this understanding of that you had a pre-incarnational choice, I want to move you through a moment of meditation together in which we explore this and begin to activate right seeing, right hearing, discernment, catching the answers to these questions. So I invite you in this moment to close your outer eyes. I invite you to place your hands on your lap, palms facing upward as a sign of receptivity, the thumb and the forefinger touching. And today it's a sign of transcending egoic perception, limited paradigm. I want you to take a deep inhalation and release. Another deep inhalation. Release. As you take this inhalation, take this deep inhalation, but sustain it at the apex. At the apex, just hold it there for a second. And as you're holding this inhalation, just feel a deep sense of love, safety, and peace. Perhaps drawing on your past, or perhaps drawing upon your imagination. What would it feel like to be in a deep sense of love, a deep sense of peace, a deep sense of safety? Just feel into that for a few seconds. Release the breath. And from this sense of relaxation, what we know for sure is that the universal presence, called by millions of names, through the universe, answers any question that you ask. And so we want to begin to ask questions that jog the mystic chord of our memory. Begin to ask yourself in this moment, why did I choose to be here on planet Earth at this time in human history? Do not judge or censor what emerges. Just let it flow. You may get an intuitive hit. You may activate direct knowing. A vision may emerge. A gut feeling. Why did I choose to be here at this particular time in human history? What was this choice made from? So you're listening with the ears beyond the physical ears. And you're seeing beyond the physical eyes. You're catching this in consciousness, in awareness. Why did I choose to be here? Without judgment or censorship, you're just sitting with this question for a moment. We add to this question, why did I choose the parents that I had? Those that gave me the pathway to birth. My father, biological mother. Why did I choose to come through these beings? Again, no judgment, no censorship, just seeing without eyes and hearing without ears. You're catching expanded awareness around this. You augment it by asking, what gifts have been activated because these individuals were my parents? Sometimes it was tough sledding, so to speak. Sometimes it was graceful. But what can I say about me? What can you say about you that's undeniably true because of the parents that you had? What gifts emerged? So you're embracing why? Why did I choose to be here at this time in human history? Why did I choose my parents, and what is undeniably me? What gifts have been activated because of the choice? And what vow did I take as to the gift or gifts that I would express before I left the incarnation? What did I say to myself that I would give before I vacated this incarnation? What vow did I take for myself, to myself? And so as we are inwardly exploring the feeling tone of these answers to these questions, catching these answers vibrationally with insight within our awareness, activating the mystic chord of memory, add this. Just ask yourself, how am I doing at this particular stage of my unfoldment on planet Earth? Without judgment, you just kind of give yourself a little grade, but it's not judgment, it's just an awareness exercise, not a judgment exercise. How am I doing? Am I doing pretty good? Am I awakening to the gifts? Am I embracing what's undeniably me by the experiences that I've moved through? Am I keeping my vow to myself to share my gift and talents in ways that leave a vibrational imprint before I leave? How am I doing? Just ask the question and then listen with your being. So the questions you're living in: why did I choose this incarnation at this time in human history? Why did I choose my parents? What gifts did I receive by being born into this family? Whether those gifts came about through intense experiences or graceful experiences. What's undeniably me because being born into this family? What gift do I have to share? Gift or gifts? What vow did I take to deliver before I left? And how am I doing? None of this is self-recrimination or judgment, simply awareness. Awareness brings about freedom. You're feeling into this, catching insight. Take a deep inhalation. Release. As you slowly open your eyes, be aware that you're in the process of taking responsibility for your life. Self-responsibility. It breeds freedom. When we live under the aegis, under the vibrational authority of being a victim to a circumstance, we mitigate our innate freedom and liberation. But when you embrace your pre-incarnational choice, when you embrace that you participated in being here, then there's compassion, there's freedom, there's strength, there's courage, there's inspiration, there is the energy of a life that gets to ooze through you, and you are not inhibiting it, and you are embracing those gifts that are now becoming more activated. Feel into that. And remember this. You can come back to this module over again and continue to mine the insights from this particular teaching and this particular meditation. So the activation of your spiritual liberation becomes more acute, and you become more and more awake as you're moving through this incarnation, you see. And this is what you'll discover. You will discover that you have more than one lifetime in this incarnation. You'll continue to grow so that you have many lifetimes in one incarnation that transcends boredom and takes you into a magnificent state of adventure, into the exploration of your soul. What a life. What a life. What a life. And so until the next module, continue to explore these questions. Have your journal, write down the insights that come from them, and we'll see you soon. Blessings.